The sky just produced one of the biggest visual stories of the year. A total solar eclipse crossed parts of Greenland, Iceland, and Spain, and hours later, the meteor shower peaked under unusually dark skies. But the producer's angle isn't simply that people looked up. It's how one extraordinary event can create science content, travel content, business coverage, and some of the most shareable images online. I'm Jamie Maglietta, and this is Think Like a Producer, an on-cam-ready presentation where we break down the news, content, and conversations so you can find your own angle and produce your authority online. The Associated Press previewed the eclipse with a headline, "August's total solar eclipse will sweep over Spain, Iceland, and Greenland." The article explained that totality would last a little more than 2 minutes at its longest point. What's great about this is you're seeing some lead up before the event, and you could be doing that too before the event, leaning into the news. The news is your trend, guys, especially if you're a thought leader. And now the coverage is focused on the images. But think like a producer and look beyond the spectacle. What part of this story does your expertise allow you to explain? Start with NASA's What's Up video. NASA used a map to show where the eclipse would be total, clarified that only parts of the United States would see a partial eclipse, and then explained why this was going to be extremely visible. A meteor shower peaked during a new moon, which meant darker skies, which means you could see it clearly. NASA also offered specific viewing guidance, how you want to be in a dark area, open location, and give your eyes about 30 minutes to adjust before you expect to see the meteor shower. That gives educators and science communicators a content model worth following. NASA doesn't begin with a complicated astronomy lecture. It uses one visual, one plain language explanation, and one practical action. A science educator, if that's you could use the footage that you come across today and create a video called "What You Saw in the Sky Last Night" and what was actually happening. Now, I'm recording this before the meteor shower. I'm doing that because I'm getting into a flow of my own. And I'm here to say the news is going to help you become more well-known in your niche. So lean in, take my advice, think like a producer. If I had this story coming up and I was producing a news show, I would be talking about it a few times on air before the actual event. In television news, we're always thinking about the angles and what can help you as a consumer. And you need to be doing the same for your own audience. Like with the Google Pixel that I talked about in a previous episode, you need to be looking ahead. And if you can identify the news, the trends that are coming up, you can get ahead of it and grow your authority online. If you want to grow your audience or become more attracted to the press and you have the academic background or the lived experience to support that, it's a great way for you to stand out and start a conversation. As a science expert, you could use one of the verified images you see today and explain the science in plain language, and then answer maybe a question that a viewer was already asking about it. There could have been someone asking, why do these appear at the same time every year? Or maybe someone asks, why did the new moon make last night's meteor shower easier to see? Like, there could be comments on a video or a post that NASA made, and you could answer those questions. Go through and see what you can answer. That's going to also help you drive your points and create a conversation that people are already interested in having. You want to use that image or video and gain people's attention. Now, if you don't know how to edit those types of videos, I do have an online course you can get access to. It's called the Visibility Program, where I have CapCut lessons. I teach you how to frame yourself, do the green screen method behind you. I also have a book on Amazon. So lean into it. If you need the help, invest in it. Save yourself the time versus trying to figure it out yourself. Now look at this LinkedIn post. The International Tourism Trade Fair posted. Its angle wasn't astronomy. It was the eclipse's effect on tourism. It cites Airbnb data. The post said bookings in some non-urban destinations along the eclipse path had tripled, with even larger increases reported in certain towns. The post also raised a more interesting question. Can a rare natural event create opportunity for rural destinations without overwhelming the communities hosting them, right? That gives travel, hospitality, and event professionals, if that's you, a conversation to enter in. A travel advisor could say, I read this post on LinkedIn, and the eclipse is drawing travelers to places many had never considered visiting. The real opportunity for these destinations begins after the sky clears. How do they turn one night of attention into a reason for visitors to return? A hotel or destination strategist, if that's you could examine it as well. What did these locations do to prepare? How did they package the experience? And what content can they publish now to extend the attention beyond the event? These are all questions that we would have in a newsroom regarding a story. How do we make this story appealing to our audience? And reporters ask the same thing. Like, if I'm going to report on this story every day for a week, how do I make it appealing? And if I'm a journalist for a travel magazine, I'm also thinking, well, how do I make it appealing to my audience? You need to be thinking the same way. Think like a producer, act like a journalist, do the work. All right. That social post moves the story from people traveled to see to a much stronger professional conversation about events-based tourism capacity and lasting visibility. There was also a business story most people didn't anticipate. Reuters reported that European electricity grid operators prepared for the eclipse because temporarily blocking sunlight can affect solar power generation. That gives energy operations, risk management professionals, and even government officials an angle to lean in on here. Your timely post could be about how most people saw this celestial event. European grid operators saw an operational hurdle. Then explain how your industry prepares for rare but foreseeable disruptions. You can use the story to share your expertise, even if you aren't an astronomer. So don't overlook stories like this. A risk professional could be asking, what low frequency event could temporarily disrupt your business and have you planned for it simply because it is unlikely? Now, the eclipse becomes more than a beautiful image. It becomes a way for you to demonstrate foresight, contingency planning, and operational expertise. This is my bread and butter. And Think Like a Producer is going to become my baby because I love looking at news and looking at the angles and figuring out how we could present it. And you need to be doing the same. So I hope this is a resource to you. Finally, I also want you to take a look at creators posting images and videos from this event. The finished photograph may capture attention, but the process to capture that image can produce authority. You may want to have a reel if you are a special photographer, talking about the type of settings you would need to capture that image, even if you can't capture that image. Using time lapse, improving your chances of capturing a meteor on your camera. You want to use the news to produce your authority, and as a photographer, this is a great way. You could say, this is the format videographers and photographers use to create professional photos like this. Don't publish only the finished result. You want to also show how you maybe planned it, produced it, the techniques that you used, how long it took to really get that perfect image, how many didn't work out if you took the photographs. And you could even say something like this as the hook, here's the image I captured during this event and the 3 decisions that made the shot possible. Even if the image isn't perfect, the explanation demonstrates expertise. One night in the sky has now produced dozens of different angles for different people building authority online. The educator can explain what was witnessed. The travel professional can explain what happened on the ground. The operations expert, you can now talk about the business consequences hiding behind the spectacle. And that creator, if that's you can share how an image is created That's what it means to think like a producer. Don't merely repost the photo. Share your strategy and ask this question: how does my expertise help people see inside this story that otherwise they'd miss? I'm Jamie Maglietta. I want you to think like a producer. Use the news, find your angle, produce your authority.